Hey everyone, welcome back to the southern Philippines in Digos City. So many months ago, I think it's like 8 months ago when I first came here, they had just opened this brand new park, which is Eco Park. It's a complex that was built by the city. It's really a beautiful place, and it was so crowded the day I was here. Today is a very light day, but they literally have just reopened this park after almost 7 months. It was only open for about a month, and then we started having torrential rains and things, and it just, the park got trashed because of the weather. And they've spent all of this time re-beautifying the park, planting new plants, and it's really a changed place. They're basically into phase 2 now, but they've got these fountains and stuff. And I just want to kind of show it around today a little bit as kind of an update. So that you can see this beauty again. So last time I was here, they didn't have these steps that was going from that level down to the lake walk level. And so people were trampling through on all of this wonderful vegetation that they had put. So now they've added these spacers here every so often along the trail so that that doesn't happen again. And that all of this plants that they have done and spent so much time and money and resources on, that they stay beautiful for everybody else to enjoy. And this is from the ridge looking down. And again, you can see they've done so much landscaping and stuff. But it's a super great park for people to come hang out. It's got a good breeze today, which is nice. And no rain for a change, because we've had tons of it. Finally going into the dry season here in the Philippines. And when I first moved here back in that time period, it seems like we've had rain the entire time. I guess we were in a wet season for 8 months. And that's finally, basically in the last week or so, started to clear up to where we haven't had as much rain, which is making it much nicer to be able to go out, be in nature without having to worry about getting soaking wet every day. I'm really enjoying it anyway. So when I first did this video before about why I'd moved to the Philippines, it actually was when I also got stuck here in the Philippines, because I was having a newborn baby and we had to wait for him to be born before I could start traveling again. And once he was born, we had to deal with things like getting passports, getting birth certificates, and that sort of thing. And so now we have the Filipino passports, and in exactly 30 days from today, we will be going to the embassy in Manila to deal with the US passports. Another thing that's changed, I forgot to mention about this park, is that now there is an entrance fee, whereas before it was free. And I think it was 20 pesos to get in. May have been a little less than that. So it's not a huge fee or anything, but that money will go to help keep the place up, to make sure that things are taken care of. You can see they got these wonderful little picnic areas here that they put together. So that's not a huge fee, and that's that's reasonable, and you get access to all of this. Just look how nice that is. So if you are a U.S. citizen and you're married to a Filipino citizen, then the process to get the citizenships taken care of is very easy on the Filipino side. Basically, at the hospital, you have the hospital fill out the birth certificate forms or the request for birth certificate forms. The doctor signs off on there, the father signs off, the mother signs off. That goes down to the city to where they sign off on it. They send it off to the federal. The federal signs off on it. They send it back to the city, and then you get the birth certificate fairly quickly, actually. I don't think it took, can't remember, 2 months. I think 2 months for everything to get done, but it wasn't that long. And that was kind of expedited because we did pay for an expedited one on there. And then you go and you deal with the passport. And so we basically went to Davao, to the mall. I can't remember which mall it was at, but it was for passport services. And when we got there, we go in, we show them all the paperwork, we fill it out, and they take a picture of my baby to put on the passport, of course, and then we leave and they mail us the passport. And I think it was, from the day we went, I think it was 9 days later we had the passport. So easy peasy. Then we have to deal with the United States. Not so easy. We have, in my opinion, the worst immigration system on the planet. Definitely the worst one that I've ever dealt with. Well, we'll finish the video here with the noise. It's not the Philippines without somebody running a chainsaw or having a karaoke party. So, the U.S. procedure is awful, okay? I've been an immigration attorney now under 4 U.S. presidents, starting with George W. Bush and now all the way through Joe Biden. And what amazes me is that all 4 of them did a crappy job with immigration, but each one seemed to do worse than the one before them. It's just, and I'm talking about legal immigration. I'm not even talking about illegal immigration. I'm just talking about legal immigration. It got worse and worse and worse. I may do a whole video on that one day if anybody's interested in the broken system and how we can fix it as far as legal immigrants, but that's neither here nor there. So in this one, I am a U.S. citizen, so I can apply for him to have a consular's report of birth abroad. That's basically acknowledging that here's a U.S. document saying he was born to a U.S. citizen, he was born abroad, this is who his parents are, etc. You have to provide, obviously, the birth certificate. You have to provide marriage certificates. You have to provide, if you were ever divorced, you have to provide final decrees of divorce certified by that state to the embassy showing that your original marriage had been terminated. This is all basically if you're married, by the way, to your spouse. If you're not married, woohoo, even more fun. Proving where the child was conceived, proving you were together when the child was conceived. For instance, passport records, hotel records, things like that. Insane stuff that you have to go through and jump through. Pictures of you, pictures of the spouse, pictures of the baby. All of these documents have to be provided, and I do apologize for the chainsaw, but it's going to go on the rest of the day. So those documents all have to be provided. That's just to get that certificate. Now you can, at the exact same time, apply for the U.S. passport, and that's your, I guess it's a DS-11 if I remember correctly. And you can do that at the same time. That's just a standard passport application, except both you and the mom and the child need to be at the embassy when you are doing the interview for that, so that they can verify that both parents give consent to get a passport. There's the waivers that can be signed and stuff, but generally it's just better to have it done that way. So once you have all of that documentation available, you take a large portion of it and you send copies of that to the embassy to get an appointment. Now, because of everything that's been going on with the world, the U.S. State Department and immigration is still living in 2020, basically. So for social distancing purposes and yada, 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 they're gonna email you an appointment. So it took me approximately, I think I sent it to them. They had it for over 3 weeks. Didn't hear a word from them. So I sent an email and I'm like, hey, do you have the stuff? And they sent me an email back 2 days later that says, yes, we have it. Thank you. There's going to be long wait times for this. We've set an appointment for you. You'll have to social distance. We have a limited staff. So apparently they don't have enough staff at the embassy to take care of this. They hire new IRS agents to go after people, but you know, we're not going to hire more staff for the embassy. And they're setting appointments on a limited basis. They make sure there's very few people in the building, basically playing the game we've been playing for the last 2 or 3 years. And that's fine, you know, whatever. The very next day, I then get the email back that says, hey, here's your interview date. And they put it basically a month out. Christmas time, so that really wasn't all that unexpected to me. So that goes. So then what will happen next is I will go to an interview up in Manila with my wife and my child. They will determine if he really is my son, if he really is entitled to citizenship. They have to look back at my records, and I have to actually prove that I lived, because of when I was born, I have to prove that I lived in the country for at least 5 years after a certain age. So if you are a U.S. citizen and you leave the United States and you don't, or let's say you were born abroad, okay? You were born abroad like my son just has been. And he never goes back to the United States or never goes to the United States. He doesn't live there for that 5 years. And then he has, with a foreign woman, a child. That child will not be able to get citizenship through him under those circumstances. So again, I have to prove that to them. The easiest way I do it is I travel with certified copies of my college records, my law school records, my master's degree records. So that's going to show enough years living in the United States, enrolled in a school that actively does that. So once that's done, then we'll get those documents. We won't get them that day. They'll approve those. I don't know what the wait time is on that. Normally it's about 3 weeks, but I haven't actually done one of these since the pandemic started. I used to help people out doing advising them on reporting births abroad and getting passports for children abroad, but I haven't had one in 3, 4, or 5 years since before all this started. So I have no idea what the wait times are now, so we'll see. So hopefully that's going to go fairly smooth. It's the one aspect of our immigration State Department issues that actually usually works without a hitch. We'll see if it still does, because some of the stuff that's happened over the last, especially 8 years, has just, oh, wow, what a crazy system. But that's for another time. So that's what I've been doing here in the Philippines. That's why I've been stuck here. Once I got that done, the good news is I can now start with my family traveling internationally again, still using the Philippines as a base in Asia, a home base. We're not giving up our home here, but you know, I want to go to Malaysia, I want to go to Vietnam. There's lots of places in the region that I want to go and visit. And so now once we get some of this put out of the way, now after all this time, I can not only enjoy this beautiful park, but I can go to other countries and enjoy their stuff as well. All right, gang, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.